This is Game Programming Project 2 final. I have my UIs, which have menus. As you can see, it has the credits as well. Uh, it will resize down to the proper size once it's playing. You have the uh, I'm gonna skip through some things quickly just because these have already been shown before, and I'm only gonna focus on things that have been changed. For instance, the pawn's movement functions like the exact same with the only added thing of the wrap, which uh, when your max x or max y, when your current position is greater than the max x and max y, which are now stored and changeable in the game manager, you get teleported uh, just to the minimum. Your other axis will not be changed. For example, with the if you go greater than your max x, your x will be changed to min x, but your transform position will just be your current object's y. And same thing goes with the y, just replace the words with x. Everything else is the same turbo speed, all able to be changed in the pawns prefab. Shooting only has one big change. It's now instantiated in the pawn, and the controller just does the input. As you can see, the old code is commented just in case, but it's just playing this function. The bullets will now spawn here. Uh, I didn't have a variable to change this, as you can just go in here and change the position yourself. So if you really wanted, you could uh, just move the entire thing to like behind the ship. Uh, it'll just be shooting yourself though. Score, it functions mostly the same, but I added a new victory score, which is now the score you have to hit to spawn the boss. Enemies still just give you a point amount if you have them toggled on death, so players will not give you points when dead. Enemies now get spawned, so they function basically the same, but you'll notice that the damage on enter script looks a little bit different than last time. And I now have a hazard control, which is just a controller, and a bullet, not bullet, hazard spawn, which will spawn them. The spawn does grab a random location between the min and max x, uh, as well as grabs the location of an asteroid's death for spawning purposes. Uh, as you can see here on destroy, if it is an asteroid, it'll set the location, which sets the location inside of the spawn hazards, as this is a singleton, and will activate the spawner singleton, uh, spawn children, which is at the very end of this. This is also how the bosses spawned, which can only be spawned once because when it spawns, it turns on the spawn hazards is active. Boolean. It'll spawn to a random location within, the min and max x, y, and we'll just place them there. Uh, at the start of this thing, not only does it set itself up as a singleton by setting up a static spawner, it also activates the spawn hazard coroutine, which, while true, which it is true as soon as it activates, will every couple seconds, changeable in here, currently 5, it will spawn at a random range. It'll spawn rolling a 1 to 5. If it's a 4 or 5, it'll spawn a UFO within a random location a random number of times, using a min and max spawn, which is stored in the game manager, just right here. Uh, And if it is the 1 through 3, it'll actually summon a asteroid. And then it sets up the random count. Uh, the random count is used in a for statement. Uh, if the boss isn't active, it'll roll a random number that you set up here. So in this case, it is between a 1 and 3. You'll notice that I do add a +1 to the max spawns. This is because from my research, the for statement ends on the top number. So if it was 1 to 3, it would only ever be able to spawn 2. I wanted it to be able to spawn 3, and I wanted the developers to just be able to put in the number they want, so I set it to +1. So it will automatically add 1 to the amount that can be spawned, uh, which that one will turn off the thing, so it spawns one on a 1, 2, and 3. And it will just run this code each time, which will set a unique location for each one, and then it will spawn it at that location. Uh, Almost every transform is set to set the parent to gameplay right here. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the spawn children. This is for spawning the baby asteroids. There is, as you can see, much of the same code, except for the fact that there is no random spawn, just a random count. It instead will spawn at the baby spawn position, or spawn baby position, which is what the asteroid sets in death. I was having issues when I initially did it. That is because I initially had this. It was killing it because the hitbox was still technically active when the babies respawned. So it was the parent killing the children, basically, just not in the way that the code normally allows for. So I made it so that if it's not an insta kill, it checks. Uh, yeah, it checks if it has a enter. Yeah, if it has a damage on enter, it will not run this. Otherwise, it runs it. So basically, it will only damage players. Uh, it's not exactly how I wanted it, but it works. When it comes to the lives, you might have noticed the lives are down here in Game Manager. They're stored here, but controlled here. Uh, when you die, it will check if you are a player or if the object is a player. If it is and the lives are at 0, you lose the game. Otherwise, it just subtracts it by 1. Nice and simple. Uh, as you can see, the UI does have a slot for it, and the code is basically the same as what I've done for every bit of text so far. It'll check if that is null. If it's not, it'll just start displaying it. Same thing with the lives. The enemy health bars, I'll also go over the player's health bar. It's stored in a personal health bar. This is the boss. Victory, as mentioned, when you hit 100, or when you hit the minimum points, which I have set to 40 right now, it'll spawn the boss. And when the victory points are above when the score is above the victory points and the boss has been spawned and killed, because when the boss gets killed, it toggles this win condition box here. It will take you to the. We do not want that toggled. It'll take you to the victory, which has the credits. Uh, I explained the screen wrap earlier, so the singleton pattern. Let's see how much time I have. Yeah, the singleton pattern. It's what I have the game manager and the spawner set up as. It's good for when you need to refer to objects within it. Uh, for instance, running a function without having to duplicate that function in the code. I can just simply grab the game manager uh, component or grab the game manager script, do specifically the static singleton, and then use the command in it. It's also good for storing stats, scenes. In my case, I'm also storing the music and the enemies in it, basically. Uh, Single purpose principle is stuff like the health component, a script that has a single purpose to track HP. I can just tack this on something and it now tracks its HP. The pawn and controller, I talked about it a little bit. The pawn and the controller. Pawn the pawn has all of the actions it can do, and the controller sets up the situation in which that action occurs. For example, uh, you can even set something up like move towards a point, which is used in the asteroid in the enemy uh, hazards control. You'll see it if it's an asteroid or a baby, it will use the pawn that this has and move towards a point. That point is automatically selected uh, within the command right here. Uh, Specifically is set up so that it's a random point, uh, just a random point. I can't remember exactly where I set it up. I think I set it up in start. Yeah, here it is. The point to move towards equals new vector to random x random y. It'll just select a point within there. Um, yeah, the object-oriented programming is programming around it's using the objects as the things to hold all of the like code. Uh, you know, this game object stores all of the code for each individual thing. Each it's best shown off in the prefabs, I believe, where each prefab is its own object that can be referred to, called upon, uh, you know, the like. Delta time, time.delta time allows you to, instead of coding on the frame rate, which can cause issues on higher end PCs or just things that computers or systems that have high frame rate, you can code on time.delta time, which replaces it from frame rate based time to time, just time itself. Most of my movement is set up as time.delta time. That way it's smooth, and I don't remember exactly the amount that it runs for each second, but I'm assuming it's around like 30. Like a code used to run on. And then abstract classes, which I think will be the last thing I'll be able to show. Abstract classes are stuff like, in my case, the death and bullet. It's a class that exists in the code but can never be directly called upon. Instead, whenever it's called upon, it'll use an object's override. For example, the destroy death. If we check any of the prefabs, you'll see that it has the destroy death. Whenever I call upon death, the death component, it'll look at the object, see if it has an abstract death class. In this case, it does because it's destroy death. Uh, Actually, I don't remember if this. Yeah, it does. Death, death. It gets the death component, which in this case is the destroy script, because it is an abstract class. The bullets are also set like this, but with the bullet class instead.